The sun was setting over the broken city of New Haven. Orange light fell on buildings that had no roofs. It fell on streets filled with garbage and broken machines. It fell on people who had lost everything. Danny walked through the old spaceport with careful steps. He was 12 years old, but he looked younger. His body was thin. His clothes were torn. His face was dirty. He had not eaten in 2 days. The war had ended 3 years ago. The aliens had won. Earth was gone. The humans who survived lived on colony worlds like this one. They lived like rats, hiding in the shadows of their new masters. Danny had no parents. He had no home. He had no friends. Every day was the same. Wake up in whatever hole he had found to sleep in. Search for food. Try not to die. Sleep again. Repeat. The spaceport used to be beautiful. Danny had seen pictures from before the war. Shining towers of glass and metal. Ships flying in and out like metal birds. People laughing and talking and living without fear. Now it was a graveyard. Alien traders came here sometimes to sell things humans could not afford. They walked past the begging children like they were invisible. Because to them, humans were nothing. Less than nothing. Danny's stomach made a painful sound. He pressed his hand against it and kept walking. There had to be something. Someone might have dropped food. Someone might have thrown away scraps. Something. Anything. Then he smelled it. Meat. Cooked meat. Real food. Danny followed the smell like a dog. His feet moved faster. His heart beat harder. He turned a corner and stopped. An old man sat alone at a broken food stall. But this was not a normal old man. He was huge, bigger than any human Danny had ever seen. His skin was covered in scales that shimmered like oil on water. Green and blue and purple, all mixed together. His face was rough and scarred. One of his eyes was missing, replaced by a glowing red light. Danny knew what this creature was. Everyone knew the stories. A dragon warrior. Long ago, before the war, some humans had found a way to bond with alien creatures called symbiotes. The symbiotes changed their bodies, made them stronger, faster, harder to kill. These humans became living weapons. They called themselves dragon warriors because of the scales that grew on their skin. The dragon warriors had fought hard in the war, but there were not enough of them. One by one, they fell. The aliens hunted them down, killed them, made examples of them. Everyone said the dragon warriors were gone, all dead. But here was one, sitting in the ruins, eating something that smelled like heaven. Danny should have run. He should have hidden. The alien masters paid good money for information about dragon warriors. Danny could eat for a month if he reported this old soldier. But Danny was too hungry to think, too tired to be smart. His body moved on its own. He walked toward the old warrior. His legs shook. His hands trembled. The warrior looked up. His one good eye, yellow like a cat's eye, fixed on Danny. Danny stopped. His voice came out as a whisper. "Sir, can I have the leftovers?" The old warrior did not move. He just looked at Danny, looked at his thin arms, his dirty face, his hollow eyes. The warrior's face showed nothing. No kindness, no anger, nothing at all. Danny waited. Seconds passed. Each one felt like an hour. Then the warrior spoke. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "What's your name, boy?" Danny swallowed. "Danny, sir. Danny." The warrior repeated the name slowly. "No family name?" "No, sir. I don't have a family." The warrior nodded. He looked at the food in front of him. It was a simple meal. Some kind of meat. Some vegetables. A piece of bread. Not much by normal standards. But to Danny, it looked like a feast for kings. "Sit down, Danny." Danny blinked. "Sir? Sit down. The warrior pointed at the space across from him. You'll eat with me. Not after. Danny did not understand. He stood frozen, unable to move. Eat with him? Not the scraps? The actual food? Are you deaf, boy? Sit, Danny said. His body moved before his brain could stop it. He sat on the broken ground across from the most dangerous kind of creature in the galaxy. The warrior pushed half of his food toward Danny. Real food. Warm food. Danny looked at it. Then he looked at the warrior. Then back at the food. It's not poison, the warrior said. There was something in his voice. Something that might have been humor. Eat. Danny ate. He tried to be slow. Tried to be polite. But his hunger was too strong. He stuffed the food into his mouth with both hands. He barely chewed. He just swallowed and grabbed more and swallowed again. The warrior watched him. He did not eat his own portion. He just watched. When Danny finished, he felt ashamed. He had eaten like an animal. In front of a dragon warrior. A legend. A hero. I'm sorry, Danny whispered. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize. The warrior's voice was firm, but not cruel. You were hungry. You ate. There's no shame in that. Danny wiped his mouth with his dirty sleeve. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I can work for you. I can do things. I can. What's your story, Danny? The question stopped Danny's words. His story? What story? He was just a boy. A nobody. My parents died in the war, Danny said quietly. A bomb. I was 8. I've been alone since then. The warrior nodded slowly. And you survived by begging? Stealing? Begging. I don't steal. Danny felt strange saying this. Proud, maybe. My mother told me that stealing makes you less than human. I won't be less than human. Something changed in the warrior's face. The hardness softened, just a little. The yellow eye looked at Danny differently now. What's your name, sir? Danny asked. If I can ask. The warrior was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. Marcus. Marcus Webb. I was a general once. A long time ago. Now I'm just an old man waiting to die. Danny shook his head. You're a dragon warrior. You're not just anything. Marcus laughed. It was a sad sound. The dragon warriors are dead, boy. I'm just a ghost who forgot to stop breathing. But you're still here. Yes. Marcus looked at Danny with his one good eye. I'm still here. And so are you. Against all odds, we're both still here. The sun finished setting. Darkness came to the broken city. But for the first time in years, Danny did not feel afraid of the night. He had met a legend. And the legend had shared his food with a beggar boy. Danny did not know it yet, but his life had just changed forever. 3 months had passed since Danny met Marcus. 3 months that changed everything. Marcus lived in an old warehouse at the edge of the refugee district. The building was falling apart. The walls had holes. The roof leaked when it rained. But to Danny, it was the most beautiful place in the world. Because it was home. Danny had never had a home before. Not a real one. Not since his parents died. Marcus had taken him in that first night. You'll sleep here, the old warrior had said, pointing to a corner with a thin mattress. You'll eat what I eat. You'll work when I tell you to work. And you'll learn what I teach you. Danny had agreed without hesitation. He would have agreed to anything. But he did not understand what Marcus meant by learn. Now, 3 months later, Danny understood. Every morning, Marcus woke Danny before sunrise. They did exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, running. At first, Danny could barely do 10 push-ups. His arms would shake and give out. Marcus would stand over him, watching with that yellow eye. Again, Marcus would say, I can't. You can. Danny would try again, and again, and again, until his muscles screamed, until tears ran down his face, until he collapsed and could not move. Then Marcus would help him up, give him water, feed him, and the next day they would do it all over. Why? Danny asked one morning. His whole body hurt, every muscle, every bone. Why are you training me? Marcus sat across from him. The old warrior's scales caught the morning light. They looked beautiful, Danny thought, like a sunset made solid. Because the universe is not kind, Marcus said. Because humans are slaves now. Because one day that might change. And when it does, we need to be ready. Ready for what? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. Have you ever heard of the Flame Protocol? Danny shook his head. Long ago, Marcus began, before humans even reached the stars, we made contact with an ancient race. They were dying. Their bodies were failing. But they had something precious, something powerful. The symbiotes, Danny whispered. Yes, the symbiotes. Living creatures that could bond with other beings. Change them. Make them stronger. Marcus touched his own scaled arm. The ancient race gave us this gift. They chose humans because they saw something in us. Something special. What did they see? Marcus smiled. It was a rare thing. Danny had seen it only twice before. They saw that humans never give up. Other races, when they lose, they accept it. They bow. They submit. But humans? Marcus shook his head. Humans get back up. Again and again and again. No matter how many times they fall. Danny thought about this. It was true. He had seen it in the refugee camps. Humans who had lost everything, still fighting to survive. Still helping each other. Still hoping. The Flame Protocol, Marcus continued, is a technique. A way to pass a symbiote from one host to another. It's dangerous. Painful. Most people die trying. But if it works... He paused. If it works, the new host becomes something more than human. Danny's heart beat faster. You have a symbiote. Inside you. Yes, his name is Pyros. We've been together for 60 years. Marcus put a hand on his chest. But we're both dying, Danny. Pyros is weak. I'm old. We don't have much time left. I don't understand. Why are you telling me this? Marcus looked at Danny, really looked at him. The yellow eyes seemed to see through Danny's skin into his soul. Because I want to give Pyros to you. Danny stopped breathing. The world stopped moving. Everything went silent. What? You heard me. But I'm nobody. I'm just a beggar. A street kid. I'm nothing. Marcus stood up. He walked to Danny. He put his huge, scaled hands on Danny's shoulders. You are not nothing, Marcus said. His voice was strong, certain. You are human. You survived when others died. You kept your honor when it would have been easier to become a thief. You looked a dragon warrior in the eye and asked for help instead of running away. Danny felt tears in his eyes. He tried to stop them. He couldn't. The alien masters think they broke us, Marcus continued. They think humans are cattle, slaves, animals. They're wrong. And one day, someone is going to show them how wrong they are. Why me? Marcus smiled again. Sad this time. Because you remind me of myself. When I was young, before the war, before I lost everyone I loved. He squeezed Danny's shoulders. Because when you asked for my leftovers, you said please and thank you. Because even at your lowest, you remembered how to be human. Danny wiped his eyes. His hands were shaking. I'm scared, he admitted. Good. Fear keeps you alive. Stupid people don't feel fear. Marcus released Danny's shoulders. But being scared doesn't mean you give up. Being scared means you do the thing anyway. What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough? Then you'll be dead, and it won't matter. Marcus said it simply, without emotion. But I don't think you'll fail. I think you'll become something amazing. Something that will change the galaxy. Danny looked at his hands. Thin, weak, human hands. When do we start? Marcus nodded. Something like pride crossed his scarred face. Now. We start now. But understand this, Danny. The training will be hard. Harder than anything you've ever done. It will take years. You will want to quit. You will hate me. You will curse my name. I understand. No, you don't. Not yet. Marcus turned and walked toward the center of the warehouse. But you will. Come, let's begin. Danny followed his teacher, his mentor, his only family in the universe. The next 3 years would be the hardest of Danny's life. He would be pushed past every limit, broken down and built back up, changed in ways he couldn't imagine. But through it all, he would remember this moment. The moment an old warrior chose to believe in a beggar boy. The moment that started everything. Outside, the aliens controlled the streets. The Dominion Alliance ruled the stars. Humans were slaves, powerless and broken. But in the crumbling warehouse, a spark was being lit, a flame that would one day burn across the galaxy. And it all started with a simple question. Can I have the leftovers? Danny turned 15 on a cold winter morning. There was no party, no cake, no presents. Just the same routine he had followed for 3 years. Wake up, train, learn, sleep, repeat. But this morning was different. Danny could feel it in the air. Something was wrong. Marcus had not woken him for training. When Danny opened his eyes, he found the old warrior sitting in the corner of the warehouse. Not moving, barely breathing. Marcus? Danny ran to his teacher. Up close, he could see how bad things had become. Marcus's scales had lost their shine. They looked dull and gray, like dead leaves. His one good eye was half closed. His massive body seemed smaller somehow, weaker. I'm here, boy. Marcus's voice was a whisper. Stop looking so scared. This was always coming. No. Danny grabbed Marcus's hand. It felt cold. No, you can't die. You said we had more time. You said I lied. A small smile crossed Marcus's face. Old men lie. It's what we do. Makes us feel important. Danny felt tears running down his face. He did not try to stop them. Not this time. For 3 years, Marcus had been his whole world. His teacher, his father, his friend. Every lesson, every story, every shared meal, every moment of pain and every moment of joy. Marcus had given Danny everything. And now he was dying. The flame protocol, Danny said. We have to do it now. Give me pyros. You'll feel better if... That's not how it works, boy. Marcus coughed. Something dark came out of his mouth. The transfer won't save me. My body is done. Finished. But pyros can still live. Inside you, I'm not ready. You're more ready than I was at your age. Marcus squeezed Danny's hand weakly. I've taught you everything I know. Fighting, strategy, history. But there's one thing I couldn't teach you. One thing you had to learn yourself. What? Why we fight. Marcus's yellow eye focused on Danny. Still sharp. Still seeing everything. Not for revenge. Not for power. Not for glory. Do you understand why we fight, Danny? Danny thought about the question. He remembered the refugee camps, the starving children, the broken families, the humans who had lost everything but still helped each other. We fight for each other, Danny said. We fight because it's the right thing to do. Marcus nodded slowly. Good boy. Good man. You understand. He closed his eye. Now listen carefully. The transfer will be painful, more painful than anything you've ever felt. Your body will change. Your mind will expand. You'll feel like you're dying. But I won't die? Probably not. Again, that small smile. Pyros likes you. He's been watching you through my eyes all these years. He says you're worthy. Danny wiped his face. His hands were shaking. Will it hurt you? No. When the transfer is complete, I'll just stop, like falling asleep. Marcus opened his eye again. There are worse ways to die, Danny. Believe me. I've seen most of them. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the wind howled through the broken walls. The morning light was cold and gray. I'm scared, Danny admitted. I know. But remember what I taught you. Being scared doesn't mean you give up. Being scared means you do the thing anyway. Smart boy. Marcus shifted his body. Sat up straighter. Come closer. Put your hand on my chest. Over my heart. Danny moved forward. He placed his palm flat against Marcus's chest. He could feel the old warrior's heartbeat. Slow. Weak. Fading. Close your eyes, Marcus said. Open your mind. Let Pyros in. Danny closed his eyes. At first, there was nothing. Just darkness. Just the sound of Marcus's breathing. Then the fire came. It started in Danny's hand. A warmth that spread up his arm. Into his chest. Through his whole body. The warmth became heat. The heat became burning. The burning became agony. Danny screamed. He tried to pull his hand away. He couldn't move. Something was holding him in place. Something was pouring into him like liquid metal. Images flooded his mind. Memories that weren't his. A young man becoming a soldier. A soldier becoming a warrior. Battles on 100 worlds. Friends dying. Enemies falling. Love and loss and pain and triumph. All mixed together in a hurricane of emotion. Danny saw Earth. Beautiful Earth. Blue oceans and green. Forests and white clouds. Then he saw it burn. Saw the alien ships fill the sky. Saw the cities crumble. Saw humanity fall. He screamed again. His skin was on fire. He looked down and saw scales erupting from his arms. Gold and red and orange, like flames made solid. His bones cracked and reformed. His muscles tore and rebuilt themselves. The pain was beyond words. Beyond thought. Beyond anything human. But Danny did not let go. He held on to Marcus. Held on to Pyros. Held on to everything they had given him. The lessons. The love. The hope. And slowly, impossibly, the pain began to fade. Danny opened his eyes. The world looked different, sharper, brighter. He could see colors he had never seen before. Hear sounds he had never heard. Feel things he had never felt. He looked at his hands. They were covered in golden scales that glowed with inner light. His fingers ended in claws. His arms were thick with new muscle. He looked at Marcus. The old warrior was still. His eye was closed. His chest did not move. But there was a smile on his face. A peaceful smile. Thank you, Danny whispered. Thank you for everything. He stayed with Marcus's body for a long time, holding the old warrior's hand, crying without shame. Then he heard a sound behind him. Danny spun around. His new body moved without thinking, faster than any human should move. He raised his clawed hands, ready to fight. A young woman stood in the doorway of the warehouse. She had dark hair cut short, sharp eyes, a scar on her left cheek. She wore the ragged clothes of a refugee, but she stood like a soldier. Who are you? Danny demanded. His voice sounded different, deeper, more powerful. The woman did not look afraid. She looked at Danny's scales, at his claws, at his glowing eyes. My name is Lisa, she said. I've been watching you for 2 years. waiting for this moment. Watching me? Why? Lisa stepped forward. Because I'm part of the resistance. The human resistance. We've been looking for Marcus Webb for a long time. Looking for the last dragon warrior. Danny stood up straight. He was taller now. He realized. Broader. He could feel power flowing through his body like electricity. Marcus is dead. I know. I'm sorry. Lisa's voice was soft, sincere. But you're not dead. And unless I'm wrong, you're the first human dragon warrior in 200 years. Danny looked at Marcus's body one more time. Then he looked at Lisa. What does the resistance want? Lisa smiled. It was a fierce smile. A hungry smile. The same thing you want. To make the aliens pay for what they did. To free humanity. To take back everything we lost. Danny felt pyro stir inside him. The symbiote was awake, alive, ready. I'm just one person, Danny said. You're a symbol. You're hope. You're everything we've been waiting for. Lisa held out her hand. Come with me. There are thousands of humans hiding, waiting, ready to fight. They just need someone to lead them. Danny looked at her hand. Then he looked at the sky through the broken roof. The same stars that shone on his masters. The same stars that had watched humanity fall. He took Lisa's hand. Then let's give them a reason to hope. 2 years had passed since Danny became a dragon warrior. 2 years of blood and fire and death. 2 years of hope growing in the darkness. They called themselves the Phoenix Corps. Danny had chosen the name himself. A phoenix was a bird that rose from ashes. That was what humanity would do. Rise from the ashes of defeat. Their symbol spread across 100 worlds. A dragon rising from flames. Painted on walls. Carved into trees. Tattooed on skin. Wherever humans suffered under alien rule, they whispered about the phoenix. The human who had become something more. Danny stood on the bridge of their flagship, the Resurrection. It was not a beautiful ship. It was built from stolen parts and salvaged metal. The engines rattled. The hull leaked. The weapons were old and unreliable, but it was theirs. And that made it beautiful. Lisa stood beside him. She had become his second in command. His strategist. His closest friend. In another life, in another time, maybe they could have been more. But war did not leave room for such things. The scouts are back, Lisa said. The Dominion fleet is 3 hours away. 50 ships. Maybe more. Danny nodded. He had expected this. Admiral Vex, the alien warlord who had led the attack on Earth, was coming personally. The Dominion could no longer ignore the Phoenix Corps. They had become too strong. Too dangerous. How many ships do we have? Danny asked. 23. Plus the ground forces on the moon. Lisa's voice was steady, but Danny could hear the fear underneath. We're outnumbered 2 to 1. Our ships are older. Their weapons are better. Their weapons are better, Danny agreed. But their soldiers aren't. He turned to face the bridge crew. 30 humans of all ages. Men and women who had lost everything. Who had joined the rebellion because they had nothing left to lose. Listen to me, Danny said. His voice filled the bridge. In 3 hours, we fight. Some of us will die. Maybe all of us. But I need you to understand something. He walked among them, looking each one in the eyes. 200 years ago, when the aliens first came, they thought conquering humanity would be easy. They were bigger, stronger, more advanced. They had weapons we couldn't imagine. And they were right. They won. They broke us. They made us slaves. Danny's scales began to glow. Golden light filled the bridge. But they made a mistake. They thought defeating us meant destroying us. They forgot that humans don't break that easily. They forgot that we remember. We remember our home. We remember our dead. We remember who we are. He stopped in the center of the bridge. His eyes burned with inner fire. Today, we remind them. Today, we show them what happens when you push humanity too far. Today, we rise. The crew cheered. It was not a loud cheer. These were tired people. Hungry people. Scared people. But there was iron in that cheer. Steel and fire and something that could not be broken. 3 hours later, the battle began. The Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of metal insects. 50 warships, each one 3 times the size of anything the Phoenix Corps had. At their center flew the Devastator. Admiral Vex's personal flagship. Danny watched them come. He felt pyros stirring inside him, eager for battle. All ships, Danny said into the communicator. Phoenix formation. Make them pay for every inch. The battle was chaos. Laser fire lit up the darkness. Ships exploded like fireworks. The Phoenix Corps fought with everything they had. They fought with borrowed weapons and stolen ships. They fought with rage and love and desperate hope. And slowly, impossibly, they began to win. The human pilots were better. They had to be. They had spent their whole lives dodging alien patrols, sneaking through enemy territory, surviving by their wits. The Dominion soldiers had grown soft. They were used to easy victories against defenseless slaves. One by one, the alien ships fell, but it wasn't enough. For every ship the Phoenix Corps destroyed, another took its place. The Dominion had endless resources, endless soldiers. They could afford to lose. The human COULDN single quotes. Danny made his decision. Lisa, take command of the fleet. Lisa's eyes went wide. What are you doing? Something stupid. Danny smiled. It was Marcus's smile, he realized. The smile of a man who has accepted his death. Keep them busy. I'm going for Vex. He did not wait for her to argue. He ran to the shuttle bay, jumped into a small fighter, and flew straight toward the Devastator. The alien battleship was enormous, a mountain of metal and death. Its weapons fired at Danny constantly. Laser beams and plasma bolts and missiles streaked past his tiny ship. Any one of them could have killed him, but Danny was not an ordinary pilot. Pyros guided his hands. The symbiote's memories contained thousands of battles. Every maneuver, every trick, every way to survive the impossible. Danny crashed his fighter through the Devastator's hull. He tore through metal corridors, killing aliens with his claws and flames. He fought his way to the command bridge, leaving a trail of bodies behind him. Admiral Vex was waiting. The alien warlord was massive. 8 feet tall with 6 arms, each one holding a plasma blade. His skin was blue and covered in armor plates. His eyes were black and cold and empty. The little human pet, Vex said. His voice was like grinding metal. I watched your planet burn. I heard your people scream. Now I will hear you scream. Danny stepped forward. His scales blazed gold. Fire danced around his fists. You destroyed my home, Danny said. You killed billions of my people. You made us slaves. Yes, Vex smiled. It was an ugly thing, and I enjoyed every moment. They crashed together like 2 storms. Vex was fast, incredibly fast. His 6 arms moved in patterns no human could follow. His blades cut through the air in deadly arcs. But Danny was faster. Pyros had given him more than strength. The symbiote had given him the memories of every dragon warrior who had ever lived. 1,000 lifetimes of combat experience. Every technique. Every secret. Every way to kill. Danny dodged Vex's first strike. Blocked the second. Ducked under the third. He moved like water, like fire, like something that was no longer entirely human. He found his opening. Danny drove his clawed hand through Vex's chest. He felt the alien's heart burst under his fingers. Felt the life leave those cold black eyes. That was for Earth, Danny whispered. Vex fell. Danny stood over the body for a moment. Then he grabbed the communicator from the dead admiral's belt. Attention all Dominion forces, Danny said. Your commander is dead. Your fleet is beaten. I am Danny of the Phoenix Corps. Humanity is no longer your slave. He paused, looked out the window at the battle still raging in space. Run. Run and tell your masters what happened here. Tell them the Dragon Warriors are back. Tell them humanity remembers. Tell them we're coming. The Dominion fleet broke. Ships turned and fled in every direction. The Phoenix Corps cheered on every channel. They had won. Danny sat down among the bodies of his enemies. His scales flickered and dimmed. His body ached with exhaustion. But somewhere deep inside, he felt pyros humming with satisfaction. They had won their first real victory, but the war was far from over. 10 years had passed since the Battle of New Haven's moon. 10 years of war. 10 years of blood and sacrifice and slow, painful victory. Danny stood in the ruins of what had once been New York City. The old buildings were gone. The famous towers had crumbled long ago. But new structures were rising. Human structures. Built by free hands for the first time in centuries. Around him, billions watched. Not just humans. The Phoenix Corps had grown beyond anything Danny could have imagined. Other species had joined them. Races that had been enslaved by the Dominion just like humanity. They had seen what humans could do when pushed to the edge. They had seen hope. Now they stood together. Free. Lisa stood beside Danny, as she always had. Her hair was gray now at the edges. Her face had more scars. But her eyes were the same. Sharp. Fierce. Alive. You ready for this? She asked. Danny looked at the crowd. Millions of faces. Human and alien. All watching him. Waiting. No, he admitted. But I'll do it anyway. Lisa smiled. Being scared doesn't mean you give up. Being scared means you do the thing anyway. Danny smiled back. I learned that from someone wise. He stepped forward to the platform. His scales caught the sunlight. Golden fire shimmered across his body. He was 37 years old now, but he looked younger. The symbiote kept him strong, kept him healthy. He would live a long time, Pyros had told him. Long enough to see what humanity could become. Danny looked out at the crowd. He thought about Marcus, about the old warrior who had shared his last meal with a starving boy, about the simple act of kindness that had started everything. He began to speak. Someone asked me once what makes humans dangerous, Danny said. His voice carried across the ruins of the old city, broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. I'll tell you, it's not our strength. The aliens were stronger than us. It's not our technology. They had ships and weapons we couldn't match. It's not our numbers. There were billions of them for every one of us. He paused. Let the silence stretch. What makes humans dangerous is that we remember. We remember every kindness and every cruelty. We remember everyone who helped us and everyone who stood against us. We remember our home. We remember our dead. We remember who we are. The crowd was silent, listening, waiting. 20 years ago, I was a beggar, an orphan living in the ruins of a conquered world. I had nothing. No home, no family, no hope. I survived by asking for scraps from people who had more than me. Danny's voice grew softer, more personal. One day, I met an old man, a warrior who had lost everything. He was tired and broken and waiting to die. I asked him if I could have his leftovers. Danny smiled at the memory, the pain of it, the beauty of it. He told me to sit down. He said I would eat with him, not after him. He shared his meal with a stranger because it was the right thing to do. He saw a hungry child and he refused to look away. Danny's scales began to glow brighter. His voice rose. That's what humanity does. We see the broken, the lost, the hopeless, and we refuse to look away. We share what we have. We fight for each other. We never give up on each other. He looked at Lisa. She was crying. He felt tears on his own face. The Dominion thought they could break us. They were wrong. You cannot break a species that refuses to give up. You cannot conquer a people who remember how to love. Danny raised his fist. Golden fire erupted around it. So to every species out there, every world that's been told they're worthless, every child going hungry tonight, I have a message for you. His voice thundered across the planet, across the system, across the galaxy. We see you, and we're coming. Not to conquer, not to rule, but to help. Because that's what humans do. That's what we've always done. We see people in pain, and we reach out our hands. The crowd erupted, cheering, crying, screaming with joy. Humans and aliens together, united by hope. Danny lowered his hand. The fire faded. He was just a man again. A man who had once been a hungry boy. Lisa came to his side. She took his hand. Marcus would be proud, she said. Danny nodded. He looked up at the sky. The same stars that had watched humanity fall. The same stars that now watched them rise. I hope so. 1 year later, they unveiled the statue. It stood in the rebuilt spaceport of New Haven, right where the old food stall had been. Right where everything had started. The statue showed two figures. An old warrior with scales on his skin, sitting at a table. A young boy standing before him, thin and dirty and hopeful. The inscription read, "Humanity's greatest weapon was never fire or fury. It was a single act of kindness, passed from one generation to the next." Danny visited it every year on the anniversary of Marcus's death. And every year, he found fresh flowers left by strangers. Humans and aliens alike. People who had heard the story of the beggar boy who changed the galaxy. Today, a child stood before the statue. A little girl, maybe 7 years old. She looked at the figures with wide eyes. Who are they? She asked her mother. That's Danny, the Phoenix. The man who freed us. And the other one? The mother smiled. That's the man who saved Danny, a long time ago. How did he save him? He shared his food with him. When Danny was hungry and alone, that man gave him something to eat. The little girl thought about this. Her small face was very serious. That doesn't sound very special, she said. Danny stepped forward. He had been watching from a distance, but now he knelt before the child. His scales glimmered in the sunlight. You're wrong, Danny said gently. It was the most special thing anyone ever did for me. The girl's eyes went wide. She recognized him now. Everyone recognized him. Why? She asked. Danny looked at the statue. At Marcus's stone face. At his own young face, frozen in that moment of desperate hope. Because when everyone else looked at me and saw nothing, he looked at me and saw something worth saving. Danny put his hand on his chest, where Pyros lived inside him. That's the most powerful thing in the universe, little one. Seeing someone who's suffering and choosing to help them. That's what makes us human. The girl smiled. A big, bright smile. I want to be like that, she said. Then be like that. Help people when you can. Share what you have. Never look away from someone in pain. Danny stood up. He looked at the statue one last time. Can I have the leftovers? He whispered to himself. The same question he had asked so many years ago. The question that had changed everything. He smiled. Then he walked away into the sunlight, into the future. A future built on kindness. A future built on hope. A future that began with a simple question and an old man's answer. Because that's what humans do. They remember.